Lights, camera, cut. Movies are something that we take for granted nowadays. I mean, we go to the movies for almost every occasion, from birthday parties to relaxation, just go see a movie, and some people even get proposed to in movie theaters. Most everyone has seen a movie. I mean, let's be real. And according to selectusa.gov, the US entertainment industry encompasses films, movie theaters, TV subscriptions, electronic home video production, and the distribution and consumption. So, box office receipts are expected to surpass $11 billion in 2019, and home and video earnings are expected to reach $96 billion in 2019. That's so much money, but where did this literal billion-dollar empire start? Well, to be honest, it's kind of up in the air. There's some debate between who truly invented the concept of a moving picture. Most agree, though, it was Thomas Edison because he did come out with something. But I am here to inform you of a French inventor, his prize invention, and his peculiar end that would have made a fascinating drama. So, this poor inventor that I'm speaking of is Louis Le Prince. Louis Le Prince was born in France in 1841, and growing up, he was interested in things like photography and science. He studied in chemistry and physics as well, and later on, after he got out of school, he helped with large panoramic photos, and he was well known with a group. The large panoramics were described as large circular panoramas with huge wall paintings that place spectators in the center of a conceivingly real rendered you are there like stretches of scenery. The most famous panorama depicted the naval battle between the Monitor and the Merrimack. Audiences in Europe and America were marveled at the stationary panoramas, says the New York Times. The elaborate panoramas was something that was uncommon, and that's what inspired him for a moving picture while he was working there, because the whole landscape almost seemed to move, and since they didn't really have a concept of actual moving pictures, that just made him think like, oh, what if we could get pictures to actually move? But, I mean, nowadays, that's almost unheard of for us. I mean, we can take a panorama on our phones. We can watch TV and movies from at least 30 to 40 years without even a second thought. Like the Jetsons, if we wanted to. And we could just think, oh yeah, I'm going to go watch some Jetsons and just pull it up without even thinking about it. And these people would have seen moving pictures as unrealistic, and most would have even called it witchcraft. But according to scienceandmuseums.org, during the 1800s, Le Prince became fascinated with the early cinematic technologies that were being developed. In 1886, he created a 16-lens camera and applied for an American patent on the 2nd of November of the same year. At the beginning of 1988, and on 16th of November of 1888, he received a British patent for his invention. This was revolutionary for a camera to be able to show movement. I mean, at all. His first camera, though, was able to kind of track movement, but not really in the same way. Every single time they would be able to track something, it would essentially burn away because it was based on paper. But then came his single-lens motion picture camera. And this is basically what his claim to be the inventor of the movies is. It was mahogany wood and weighed about 40 pounds. It had a hand crank, that manually moved light-sensitive paper along between the lens and the shutter. So one of the films has even survived, actually, and you can actually watch it, and if we were in class, I would show it. But as soon as the word of his invention got out, of course, tragedy struck. While visiting his brother Albert in France and two friends, Le Prince was said to have boarded a train from Dijon to Paris in September of 1890, and he was never seen again, the BBC states. And while he was on this train, he supposedly had a suitcase with him filled with his patent information. His suitcase was never found either. And there's been all sorts of theories as to what happened to him. And just 1 year after his fateful train ride, Edison claimed for himself a patent of inventing the motion picture. And it was his nickel powered peephole machine, basically, which is what people think about whenever they think, oh, early cinema. And understandably, Lee Prince family sued. Edison, although, wasn't a stranger to patent lawsuits, and he regularly got himself into it because he obviously sometimes came second to creating some of his stuff, but he always wanted the credit. And it was the rich and the already established company man versus the family of a nobody inventor who really never got to see his legacy, is how Film Inquiry even put it out there. And there was some reports of his wife Elizabeth believing that it was industrial spies who came and stole his work, while some people even claimed it was aliens. And I mean, we don't know what happened to him, but I'm glad you got to learn a little bit about an inventor who's been lost to time.